This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's community access radio station Plains FM 96.9 and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Good morning, Bliss lovers. It is Rebecca Davison here, intuition coach and founder of the Intuitive Life Academy. Welcome to the Find Your Bliss show, where we talk about all things metaphysical, psychic, esoteric, and metaphysical. Oh, I already said that, didn't I? Good morning, folks. It's great to be on the show with you here this morning. It is a beautiful spring day here in Christchurch, Canterbury, and it's wonderful to be into the studio today because I am going to be talking about something very personal, which is my father's passing. My father passed away 3 months ago now, and I want to share some of my awarenesses in regards to what has happened for me personally since he passed away, in the attempt and effort to hope to bring any healing possibly to you if you're in a loss situation yourself. I mean, death is like taxes, it's inevitable, it's definitely going to happen to all of us. So I want to share and kind of clear away maybe some of the taboo energy that we often have around death, and actually share with you that it's been, although it's been painful, it's also been an incredibly beautifully enlightening experience, and I just want to share some of that with you guys today. So thanks for joining me here on the Find Your Bliss radio show on Plains FM every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And of course the podcast you can find on iTunes as well by searching for Find Your Bliss. So let's get started, because there's been, I was making a few notes about this morning in terms of what I've actually learned since my father passed away. The process of, the journey to move towards death in itself, because my dad was ill for a short period of time. He started to get ill at the end of January. And, I don't want to focus too much on that because, again, that physical aspect of it can be quite harrowing. To see somebody that you love becoming more and more unwell. And unfortunately, it was definitely the perfect storm in terms of his decline. And I, for privacy's sake, just for his sake as well, I'm not going to go into those details, but, the gist of it was that he was unwell, and unfortunately there were certain things that happened at hospital. He got a staph infection, and then he had to go on antibiotics, and he was allergic to those. So it was very unfortunate in terms of his actual decline, apart from the fact that he was ill over and above that. Anyway, yeah, so it contributed to, and again, watching somebody that you love, it's incredibly shocking. One thing I noticed initially is that I had cognitive dissonance, right, which is where your mind is like, I have an understanding on some level this is happening, but it is so far out of my realm of comprehension that I can't really process it or integrate it, let alone begin to believe it. Your brain just kind of goes, I can't believe this is happening. It's almost, a survival instinct, shock, terror kind of place to be, because of course, your parent is the person who brought you into the planet, right? This is the person, and I'm fortunate that my relationship with my father, I adored him. He was an incredible person. He, in my eulogy, I said that he was a wonderful man, and then I went on to say, right, that those, it's easy to be biased, but those actually weren't my words. Everybody that knew my dad would say that about him, that he was charming, that he was elegant, that he was thoughtful, that he was very hospitable. He was generous to a fault. He would give you the shirt off his back. He was very thoughtful and mindful of other people. One thing I have noticed about him is since he passed, is that he gave a lot of money away, right? We've just going through estate stuff, and he's just, all the receipts in terms of money that he's given other people, because he genuinely cared about other people. So, I'm lucky in the respect that my relationship with my dad was pretty clear. I adored him, and, I know that was reciprocated. So it was pretty clear in our intention. We didn't have stuff, but I'll talk about that a little bit. If you are in a relationship with a parent or somebody that you love who is dying or who has passed and you have had stuff, I'll give you a little bit of guidance in regards to how to navigate that. Because what I have learnt, first and foremost, is only love is real. Just because a person passes away, I think as human beings, we can get stuck in that idea of duality, that because that person's gone, that their love is gone, and that is not true, right? Their love always remains. So if you've lost someone, I just want you to take some time right now to even allow yourself some moments to tune in and actually go, that love is still here, right? And also too, if you had stuff in your relationship with that person, whoever it might be, just know, excuse me, that the only true thing is love, right? So if there was dissonance, if there was disharmony in your relationship with a person who's passed over, the only true thing is love. And when that person passes away, all of, their ego disappears. They go into a higher frequency of energy. They're just literally in a different dimension. They can still see you. They still have consciousness. They are still around you. And I know a lot of people find this hard to kind of tune into, because it's like if that person doesn't have a body, then they are not living. That's not true. Love remains. So please, and this is what can create so much distress for people, is that you think that the person dies, that their love is gone. No, it surrounds you. The really interesting thing about my dad passing is, I know that he had a physical form, but now it's almost like I feel him everywhere, which is really interesting to me, because that's how I feel source energy. That's how I feel what people would call God, the universe, the divine. It's like he's everywhere. It's like he's kind of particleized, he's in the air around me, but he's still, it's an energy and a presence that he's always watching over me. And there have been plenty of circumstances where I've been like, can you please help me, Dad? And he's been there. Just recently I locked myself out of the house when I was driving home after going out to my folks' place to pick up a spare key. I could feel him with me, because that's exactly the kind of thing that he would have helped me with. Right? So remember that if you've got somebody who's passing or somebody has passed over, that love remains, consciousness remains. Consciousness does not die. The physical body leaves, the person's energy remains. They can still see you, they can still hear you, they are still energetically present. They're just in a different dimension. And I must say that this has been, and I'm really grateful for the work that I do and the awarenesses that I have and the belief system I have, because it is so comforting to know that that person's still with you, not in a physical form, granted, but then again, this is why we have to understand the world of energy, frequency and vibration. We can only see so many light particles. There are a gazillion more light particles available in the planet. We just can't see them with our human eye. We are limited in that respect in having a human body. We need to be aware of this in terms of other people. Their soul is infinite. Love is infinite. So really, we want to understand this when we have somebody who's in that circumstance, that even though their body may be leaving the planet, that their consciousness and their love remains. And in fact, in some ways, it actually feels less inhibited. My dad feels more expanded. He feels free of ego, right? And not that he had a very big ego anyway, because he was one of the most humble, beautiful men anyway. And I know it's easy to kind of be biased and to idolize people when they pass over. But I tell you what, another thing that I have learnt is that when somebody passes over, you appreciate them on a whole different level. Like, I can't tell you, like they say, you don't appreciate something until it's gone. It is so true in terms of just noticing all the things that he used to take care of that we would take for granted, whether that was the finances or having bills organised or, making sure things got done around the house or making sure that the maintenance was taken care of. And I know those sounds like little things, but that's the way that Dad expressed his love, right? His love language was acts of service, and he was so good at that. He would always do the little things that you need to be done, but often we push to the side because we kind of think, that can go down further down the list. So knowing, and again, masculine energy is very much that sacred container, and he definitely created that for our family. He was the person who was in that energy. So again, you appreciate people so much more when they've passed over, the energy they bring, the frequency they bring, the attitude they bring. My dad was always one of those people who was like, look on the bright side, or don't let the turkeys grind you down, or, be in that space of, but you can still feel that energy. Like if you tune into it, like even if you're asking yourself, which is the same question of what would love do now, is what would Dad do now, right? What would Dad say in this situation? You can still ask for that guidance. So another thing that I've really learnt, and I knew this already obviously from being an intuition teacher and helping people to develop their psychic abilities, and that is that you can communicate with the dead. You can communicate with people who have passed over. It is literally the same as you would do in real life, and your awareness and your mind, it's always a good idea to tune into light and to love frequencies, using your imagination to tune into that, and then from there initiate a conversation. Hey, how are you? I miss you. I'm wanting your guidance. I'm wanting your support. Can you help me with this? And they will be there for you. You will know, and again, you can be specific. You can ask for a sign if you need it to be more tangible in the physicality. They will give that to you. I think a lot of people, because they have a limited perspective on reality, they don't realize, like, we see this much, folks. It's tiny, right? Compared to what is actually out there. That's literally it. As a human, we're like a really limited version of pure source energy. And the most fun that you can ever have in your whole life is discovering that you're way more than just a person or a human in a body on the planet. You're a limitless being having a human experience. So when we start tapping into our infinite nature, which feels totally natural and normal on a soul level, right? It takes a little bit of integration with your mind and your physical reality. But when you start seeing the world from that bigger perspective, it just brings so much relief. If you are in the perception of suffering or loss in regards to a loved one, I can appreciate the loss and the feeling of wanting them to be there physically, but know that they still are. Right? They haven't left you. Because again, only love is real. Anything that wasn't loving in your relationship is an illusion. It is just untruth. It's not true. People, especially if they are your parents or your family, they are your soul tribe. You all made an agreement before you got onto the earth plane to support each other in the evolution of your life purpose. Right? Your purpose was to come here and to grow and to create and to be a conscious being. Conscious being is someone who wants to learn more, wants to expand, wants to grow, wants to evolve. So when you are that person who has a soul tribe, right, which is always our family, because you think about it, it's always going to be your family who push your buttons the most. That's their job, right? That's their job on a soul level, to help you to grow, to help you to evolve. So if you've ever been in a circumstance where you've lost somebody, please know that I'm sending you my love, and please allow yourself to be curious, right? What does it take to really be able to tune into that person's energy and frequency? It is the combination of their spirit, their personality, their quirks, their idiosyncrasies. That is what makes up that human being. They are available to you to communicate with. This is why if we go to a medium, right, somebody who communicates or sees the dead, it can be so comforting to get those messages and to get those confirmations and those awarenesses that yes, they are there, and yes, they do see you, and yes, they do have a message for you, which is that they are fine because they are in higher frequency energy. You know, when I was in Phoenix in Arizona quite a few years ago, I went to an event called Celebrate Your Life. And I saw the amazing medium John Hollins. He's an American guy. And I was thinking there for a second that he was English, but I'm pretty sure he's American. And he was amazing, right? He had a room full of people and he was just tuning in and getting, you know, deceased loved ones to kind of step forward and talk to him. And then he would find the person in the room that deceased loved one was for. You know, he'd start saying, you know, like I can see a child with a red balloon and then I feel like that person's over here somewhere. And, you know, more often than not, people were crying because it was resonating with them. And then he would give them a message from the deceased loved one, which is that they were fine. We see you. We love you. We're here for you. So know that yourself, right? If you have a child, a parent, a loved one, a sibling, an auntie, an uncle, a grandparent, they then literally become your soul tribe in a different dimension. You know, my dad's turned into one of my spirit guides. I love having his energy around. I love having that feeling of support. You must remember as well that when people pass over, that because they're in that higher frequency of energy, hi Emma, how are you? Yeah, source is the source. Right, that we're in that space where they're beyond pain and suffering. They're not having a human experience anymore. They are in a frequency where they are pure love. They are pure light frequency. So they're not suffering like we are. And that can be really comforting to tune into that energy and know that about them, but also allow them to support us. You know, one of the most beautiful things that I ever heard about loss was that, you know, that sometimes people pass so they can actually help you in your lifetime from a different dimension because they're not in lower frequency. And my dad was totally like that. He was one of those people who was just so helpful. You know, he wanted to help other people. He wanted other people to be happy. So it's totally like him to do something like that too, right? To be the person who's going, I can be beneficial to you in this frequency as well. Now, of course, too, when my interpretation, again, yours may be different, but my interpretation is, and I don't know if you've ever read that book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, by the same guy wrote, Mitch Albom, I think it is. He wrote a book, Tuesdays with Maury, as well. And Tuesdays with Maury actually has a funeral before he dies, right? Which is a really cool idea because then he gets to hear all the great things that people say about him before he passes away. Excuse me. Unfortunately, my dad wasn't well enough to be able to do that. And of course, because of COVID. But when you get to heaven, right, that you reconnect with your loved ones. And my dad, bless him, he had a lot of friends who had passed earlier than him. So, you know, we were talking about that before he was passing, that, you know, he's going to go and see his family, his parents, all his friends that he hasn't seen for a really long time. And it was really funny too, because, you know, when he passed, and then at one point, a couple of days later, and I was kind of tuning in and wanting to connect with him. And it was really funny too, because it was kind of like he was saying, I'm a little bit busy right now, because he was catching up with all these people that he hadn't seen for a long time. So that was really beautiful too. And knowing, right, that really heaven is just home for love. Right, all the people that you love, and it's not a place where there's any resentment or anger or lower frequencies of energy. That's all done and dusted, you know, and that's why we want to learn what it is to experience heaven on earth, and that's why developing your intuition is the way to do that, to be in that space where you can go, actually, I can talk to the universe, I can talk to God. I can talk to higher frequencies of energy. I can talk to my angels and guides. I can talk to my higher self. I can talk to my deceased loved ones, right? With your deceased loved ones as well, and again, there are different frequencies of energy. You always want to make sure that your angelic support team is in love or above frequency. You're the boss. You get to instruct your angelic team that that's the rule, right? We're in love or above frequency. Anything that is less than that either bumps up or removes itself. Okay, so being in, thank you, Michelle. She's saying, I'm sorry for your loss. And I know there's definitely been moments, but there's one thing that I want to talk to about the pain about losing somebody and grief. You don't ever want to let anybody put stipulations on how it should be for you. Everybody processes grief differently. So one thing I am very grateful for from my work as well, though, is being able to feel clear emotion. Now, what do I mean by that? It means that when I feel the feeling, I can just feel it. I'm not sitting there judging myself or making myself wrong or going, I shouldn't be feeling this way. And what's really interesting about emotion is that when you feel it fully and openly without in a clear way, it moves through really quickly. Right? You can have a big cry, but then it kind of moves through quickly. But what happens, right, is if we kind of shut ourselves down or we restrict ourselves or we turn the feeling off or we kind of make ourselves wrong by feeling that way, the emotion can kind of get a little stuck. And then it will want to come back up again to be released fully. So that's one thing that I've been really, really aware of is feeling clear feeling. Like if the feeling's there, I'm going to open and I'm like, it doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to, right? I am literally giving myself permission to feel my feelings in any moment. It doesn't matter if I'm in the supermarket. It doesn't matter if I'm driving my car. It doesn't matter if I'm having a conversation with a friend. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to somebody, in my life, like a business colleague. I will still let myself feel it. I am not going to hold back and shut down the emotion. I am not going to go, I have to do this to make other people feel more comfortable. This is my experience of the loss. That doesn't mean that I'm going around, purposefully making it uncomfortable for other people, but I'm honoring myself by actually saying, if this is coming up, if this is not appropriate to be in front of this person, then I'm going to remove myself because in this moment, my feeling in regards to the circumstance is actually more important. This is how we need to honor ourselves when it comes to our hurt and our pain. But also too, one thing I've been very, very, very aware of, and I was talking to a lovely client, Linda, about this last night, is about the choice. I know that I made that commitment to my dad as he was dying that I'm going to do the best to make the rest of my life the happiest, right? Because that's what he would have wanted for me. So realizing too that what happens is a thought process occurs, and the thought process leads you into wanting to cry, or the thought process can lead you into remembering that person with affection. So I have become very, very aware of the fact that your thought processes have a huge impact on your emotional state. And I've literally been able to sit there and go, if I think that, I'm going to start crying. Right? And do I really want to do that? And that's not coming from a place of push or shove or stop or block. It's literally choice. Okay, so realizing that if I think that, I'm going to start crying, do I want to do that? Sometimes the answer is yes, but recognizing that it's a choice. I do actually have control over what I'm thinking, because in that moment, instead of that creating a sense of loss or sadness or hurt or suffering, I can actually choose to think another thought which leads to a happy memory or a celebration or laughter. Right, so really recognizing, and nothing has highlighted this more for me than the process of grief. And I know sometimes people feel, no, so let's move on a little bit, right? 2, that's because I'm clear in my relationship with my dad. And I've worked on myself a lot, so I'm pretty clear within myself. So it has moved easily, which I'm very grateful for. But let's talk about the scenario, because this is something else that I've noticed, that if you have guilt in your relationship, or you have unmet needs, you have feelings of whatever it may be for yourself, anger, hurt, pain, frustration, resentment, if you have that within yourself, when somebody dies, all those feelings are going to kind of be pushed to the surface. Now, that's not necessarily about the person who's died, that is within yourself. So death, in a way, makes us even more accountable, because the person who's passed isn't having that experience anymore. They're not in that physical relationship with other people, so they're not in shame, guilt. If we have got that experience within ourselves in relationship to that person, it is going to be exacerbated, right? Is going to come up to the surface. And this is often what happens in relationships, right? If there's a little bit of denial in place, if we're not being completely honest or completely clear, or if our level of communication isn't in the highest frequency, then that stuff will come up inevitably when a person leaves, because it changes the dynamics. It's changed the dynamics in my family massively. So again, and noticing that, and noticing how we all have to kind of recalibrate now that my dad's not there. So let's talk about that a little bit though. If you have got dissonance in your relationship with a parent or the person who's passed over, how do you reconcile that within yourself? Now, first and foremost, the person who's passed does not want you to suffer. Okay, no matter what's happened in your relationship, no matter if you had an argument with them before they passed over, no matter if there was a circumstance, I was reading a book last night, and the guy in the book, he'd had an argument with his wife in the diner, in the kitchen, because they were both working in the diner, and then he threw a pot of broccoli or something at her, which missed her, but then she had a heart attack, right? And he never forgave himself for the fact, because he thought that he had contributed to her death. It doesn't work like that, right? Like, everybody has, every soul has a choice, I believe, of when they leave the planet, and you get quite a few exit points. It's up to you to choose on a soul level when you're going to leave the planet. So it's not personal. You haven't overridden that person's choice in regards to their own death. You can't force somebody into a death experience, right? Unless, of course, you're murdering them. But that's a whole other thing entirely. But realizing too, right, that you, that person on a soul level is making a choice to transition. And that was another big thing that I had to wrap my head around, which I'm really grateful that I was actually in acceptance of. The fact that my dad was choosing to leave the earth plane on some level, because again, his body was breaking down. So therefore, it was his choice on a soul level for that to be manifesting. I didn't take that personally. I didn't go, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're leaving me. I could have gone into that response, but I actually was like, I respect you, Dad, enough on a soul level to go, your soul choice has got nothing to do with me. And, even though I didn't like it, and I would have much preferred that you stay, that your soul choice is your choice, and I have to respect that. There was a moment when, because he actually came home, we were very fortunate that he was able to come home and be at home for the last 4 days before he passed, so I could be with him. I did a lot of Reiki on him. I loved being in the energy and presence of witnessing him, because this was the last time that I was going to be able to do it. So yeah, but being in that space of being able, because there was a point in time where I felt a little bit impatient, and I was a little bit like, I want this to be over. And then I had to check myself and say, this is not your journey, right? This is not about you. This is about your dad and your dad's choice, and your dad's going to do it in his own time, and that's his choice. And you have to respect that. And I'm really glad that I checked myself on that, because, even thinking like that was starting to cause me pain, right? It was starting to cause me anxiety, impatience, frustration, hurt, suffering. And then I was like, no, this is not about me. This is about me being present and witnessing him. right? And being with him every step of the way as he journeyed towards that place where he transitioned. I didn't think I'd be able to get through this without crying. It's only been 3 months, but his death itself was actually really beautiful. You know, like my mum, bless her, is actually a priest in the Anglican Church, and she's actually witnessed quite a few deaths. And I know that afterwards, bless her, she was quite anxious about it, because she said, you know, when people transition, it's not always easy, and it's not always easy physically. But my dad's death was actually really beautiful. He just stopped breathing, so he just ran out of puff, and yeah, it was really beautiful to witness. I was quite funny too, because I think I expected that I would see him in spirit, and it wasn't actually like that, which was interesting to me too from a psychic point of view, because I kind of thought there'd be more light in the room, or that I would see psychically, but it wasn't really like that, because one of my predominant clear senses is clairsentience, which is where I feel the energy in my body. The energy, he passed at about 4 o'clock in the morning, which apparently is when the veil is thin, and a lot of people pass at that time. And, you know, again, you could feel the energy. You could feel that he was ready. You could feel that he was there in terms of knowing that we were witnessing him. And, yeah, it was just a really beautiful release as such. And a privilege, I think, to really witness somebody that you love, somebody who's brought you into the world, watching them leave. Anyway, going back to realising, right, if somebody's passing, they don't have any ill intent for you. Because what can happen, of course, is guilt. Guilt that I should have done this, or I should have said that. You can still say it, right? If somebody's passed over, you are still in relationship with them. Just because their physical body has left, you are still in relationship with them. This is a really important thing to remember in terms of any relationship that you have, right? Say it's an ex-partner or an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. You know, you're still in relationship with those person. Just because they're not in your physical realm, you're still energetically in relationship with them. So this is why we want to do personal work on ourselves. We want to get clear. We want to make sure that we have shifted the vibration within us, so the energy is good between yourself and everybody in your life. And this is why, even though personal development can be confronting or painful, right, it will set you free. Because if you do the work to get yourself clear and in those frequencies, no matter who it is, somebody who's living, somebody who's passed away, you can shift the energy of the relationship. So if you have regret, if you have pain, if you have guilt, please don't allow yourself to stay in the suffering, or kind of even let it go onto the back burner, because that regret, that guilt, that kind of maybe sadness, resentment, disappointment, you know, anywhere there's any feeling of I wish I'd done things differently, or wish I'd done or forgiveness is required, you can still facilitate that now. You know, again, like I said, I'm really lucky that my relationship with my dad was clean. It was pure. I loved him. He loved me. There was, you know, I didn't actually have any, I thought I would be way more sentimental. I thought I would be in the energy of, oh, I need to tell him this, or, you know, but it wasn't like that, because he knew that I loved him. And I know that he loves me. So there wasn't any need to kind of say last words, or, you know, I don't even remember the last thing that I said to him, but I'm pretty sure it was along the lines of, you know, you're going to see all your friends in heaven and send them my love. Because he came home and he was conscious for a short period of time, and then he pretty much slipped into unconsciousness. So please know that, right? Please don't allow yourself to continue to carry around the shame, the guilt, the grief, the hurt, the pain. And often too, right, what happens is we kind of just bury it. You don't want to do that. You want to get free and clear. You want to honour that person by choosing to live the best life possible. That is totally what they would intend for you. You have to realise they're in a different dimension. They see things from a much broader perspective, which is why they often have a message for you in terms of what it is that you want to create for your life, to live the fullest version of your life. Because they're beyond, those lower frequencies of energy. They're just in those love and above frequencies. So, again, if you're struggling with any of that, excuse me, please do reach out and I can do a session with you, right? We can get you free and clear. You do not want to carry that round for the rest of your life. And these energies have an impact on you, right? They have an impact on your happiness. They have their impact in terms of your ability to be able to give and to receive, to create, to be able to manifest what it is that you want. They have a massive impact. That's one of the things that I've really noticed is that the energy and the frequency, I feel like, I've been really fortunate but then again, I've done the work, right? That most of the time, I would say about 97% of the time, I experience peace, right? I feel relaxed, I feel calm because I've done the inner work. And if I go out of alignment with that, I know very quickly, I'm like, oh, something's up. I need to deal with it. I need to process this feeling or emotion. I don't judge my feelings, right? If I'm having a good cry, I'm having a good cry. I'm not sitting there judging myself going, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm like, let's rep. Let's go, let's make sure we turn this up and I'm feeling all of this feeling. And, probably not so much on the radio here right now in terms of if I did that and then I have to stop the show. But, obviously too, right? Not holding it back because you're feeling it. So, but learning how to do that, because we often get trained, folks, to behave in a certain way when it comes to our emotions. You can't be too emotional at work. People will think that you're pulling attention or being a victim or, you've got to behave in a certain way. It's those kind of expectations that really make it hard to be a human, right? We need to learn what it is to be able to hold space for each other more. And the best way to learn that is to do it for yourself, right? So being in that space too of going, yeah. Oh, it was the same for my mama and when I was there with her. Absolutely, right? You want to be in that space where you can be present to relationship and that energy within yourself. So what have I learned? I've learned that only love is real. I've learned that I feel like my energetic vibration has shifted because it's gone to a greater level of awareness and understanding that this is true. Only love is real. Yes, you have a physical body, but beyond that, you are pure love frequency. I'm telling this to my clients all the time, but it's actually quite fascinating to kind of have a physical experience of that. It's like, oh my goodness, this is the idea that I thought to be true. I'm now having it as a physical experience in my body. The energy around me feels more expanded, lighter, finer. I can feel my dad around me everywhere. If I need anything from him, I know that I can just ask him and say, what do I do, Dad? What? And I've already asked him for some help this morning in regards to stuff that's happening today. So I'm like, can you please help in this circumstance? And you can feel that love frequency. And that love frequency wants to help you. It wants to support you. It wants you, which is why, again, it's so comforting for people. And it can be such a liberation to be able to tune into their deceased loved ones. And again, this is what we actually teach folks in Intuitive Mastery, how to actually go through that process. So you literally get information and answers. We did this probably about a month ago in Intuitive Mastery. Intuitive Mastery, of course, it was 12 months last year, but it's going to be 10 months this year. It is that process of developing your intuition and your psychic ability so you can communicate with loved ones. Why? Because it brings liberation. You're connecting to those love frequencies. You're helping other people get free and clear of guilt. You're getting messages from higher frequencies of energy in regards to how to support you in your life. And that can only be beneficial. So what have I written down? Only love is real. You can communicate with the dead. They're all around you. It's really interesting. Excuse me. It's really interesting when you start communicating with deceased loved ones as well, because if they have an awareness that you're open to that, like relatives will start popping in, the chatty Cathys will turn up and go, hey, I've got information for you or a message for you, and sometimes the energy can be quite persistent, but they'll show you stuff about the personality so you can confirm who it is. And again, we go through a process of doing that through intuitive mastery. Like I said, you appreciate people more once they've passed. Again, it's all the little things, right? The sense of humour or the energy that person brought, or like little things. Like I was walking when I came back to my mum and dad's place the other day, and even going to the front door and recognising how my dad had taken the door off its hinges and given it a coat stain of wood stain, and how good it looked because he'd done that. And just, in my awareness, there's no way I would be able to take a door off its hinges and put a coat of stain on it and then put it back successfully. So it's things like that you just go, oh, I really appreciate that person. And I'm sure you've had your own experiences if you've lost someone where you go to ring them or you go to talk to them, but don't stop yourself from still having the conversation. Even though they're not there in the physical, don't allow yourself to be seduced by that. They are still there. You can still communicate with them. Imagine that you're picking up the phone and ringing them anyway and having that conversation. They will receive it, and maybe they won't be able to answer instantaneously, but they can give you a sign. They can give you a message. They can show you a symbol. You can ask for that. And again, if you have guilt in your relationship, if you have lower frequencies of energy, it's going to impact you, not them, after they have passed. But you can still process that. You're still in relationship with them. Even if somebody is in spirit, you can still forgive them. You can still ask for forgiveness, right? You can still do the work of getting free and clear. So I guess those are my biggest takeaways. I guess I feel like... I know a lot of people listening to me might be like, wow, what's going on in terms of like the sadness and the pain and the hurt. I keep, because my dad was in, he was in pain, right? Because he was unwell. There comes a huge sense of liberation that he's not in pain anymore. So often when it comes to his physicality, I have to remind myself of that a little bit. Excuse me. If I went into thinking about that often, I would probably be more upset. So again, like I said about the choice of where you place, because again, it's not happening now. Right? So you really want time to be working for you. If you go into that energy of regret, you can rake over the coals indefinitely, and that becomes a form of self-flagellation. Oh, I should have done this, or I should have said that, or I should have done this. One thing I have beaten myself up a little bit, like he actually had quite a few cracked ribs. So that was painful. And he was on a bed, which, you could prop up. And I remember, nurse ward came in and they moved him. And he, even though he's pretty much unconscious, it wasn't really at that point because it was causing him pain. And, hearing him cry out. And I hated that. I was like, is this really necessary at this point in time? He doesn't need the sheets changed really at this point in time. So, and you can sit there and beat yourself up about stuff like that. And it's pointless. It's not happening now. It is not an experience that person is experiencing now. So you can't allow your mind to go back into a loop of energy which serves no purpose by making yourself feel bad about thinking about it. Again, if it's not happening now, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't go into that. And that could be anything, right? That could be a conversation that you had with that person 20 years ago. It could be, a misunderstanding. It could be anything. Don't allow yourself to go back into that. It's not happening now. You don't have to have it be present in your relationship with them now. Okay, so give yourself a break. It's not necessarily easy. It's not an easy process. It's very beautiful though. I think there's a lot of taboo around death. I think people don't feel comfortable talking about it. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think if you reorientated it and it is actually one of the highest forms of healing. right? Because you think about it, you're free of all the physical pain, you're free of the emotional suffering, you're free of anything else that is occurring in your life reality because you just go into a higher frequency of energy. I think it was Anita Morjani who spoke from Hay House. She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. And she got stage 4 cancer. She died on the operating table. She had a near-death experience. But, checking her out on YouTube again could be really beneficial because, again, there's lots of light. She said there's no malice, there's no hurt, there's no pain, there's no suffering. There's just pure source energy. So, again, death can teach us a lot about how we can live. What does it take for us to live beyond the veil, to bring basically heaven to earth so we get to experience that now? And really, one thing I've become, like I said, crystal clear is what if that's just simply a choice? What if because a lot of people make it harder than it actually is, right? I need to suffer, or I'm a bad person, No. And then a lot of people think, oh, that's spiritual bypass, or you're going into pop psychology. No, it actually takes a very evolved person to go, I choose joy. I choose bliss because it's available. I've done the inner work. I've faced my own demons. So now I get to choose joy. I'm not ignoring anything. I'm not denying anything. I'm not feeling anything. I know a lot of people would look at my circumstance and go, wow, you're kind of unfeeling. No, I've just processed and cleared a lot of energy in my lifetime. Right? I've looked at myself repeatedly. I've looked into all the dark spaces within me and gone there. I've allowed myself to go there. So when you do, you don't have any fear anymore. It just is love frequency because there's nothing that you're hiding from yourself. You're not denying anything. You're not holding back anything. You're actually the person who has the willingness and ability to go in with a spotlight into all the dark places within you and really see what's there. And that is so liberating. So thank you, Facebook guys, for tuning in. Again, if you guys, I just want to do a shout out about Intuitive Mastery. I'm going to be doing more Facebook Lives and videos in the Facebook group. So if you're on the Intuitive Life Academy page and you'd like to be part of the group, just scroll over to the left-hand side if you're on Facebook, click on group and ask to join us. If you want to know what it is to be able to talk to the dead and to do it easily and successfully and get information and get answers. If you're interested in developing your intuition or your psychic awareness so you can navigate your life path with ease and grace, know what it is to get free and clear of any trauma and to really live a life where you can manifest what you want effortlessly and abundantly because you know how to operate the rules of the universe, then do come join us in the tribe. It's going to be a really fun month. I'm going to share a lot of information in regards to how to make your life more awesome. Sometimes it's only just a sentence or a bit of information that can give you a massive paradigm shift. That's totally my intention for you. So do come and join us in the tribe. But thanks for tuning in today, folks. I very much appreciate it. You can hear the rest of the podcast on iTunes under Find Your Bliss, or I think I've put the link on this page as well. All right, folks. Thanks very much, Facebook. Bye for now. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. Alrighty, folks. So today we've been talking about, it's like 3 months since my dad passed away. So just taking the opportunity, there was no way that I probably could have spoken about it earlier, even though we did have a wee tear there about, that experience of his passing. But I am so grateful to him. What an amazing man. He was a wonderful spirit. He was very innocent in a lot of ways. He was very... he saw the best in people. He always chose to see the best in people, and people responded to that. Even going through the letters that my mum has received from people. And again, you have to remember that too, that, you can meet somebody just for a few moments, but the way that you have made an impact on them can last a lifetime. There were quite a few notes like that and you don't often have that perception. You don't know the impact that you have on people. But my dad was the kind of person who was like, he had cancer the year before it was. And even through his treatment, or was it last year? I can't remember. Anyway, even through his treatment, he was the one person, him and I would be in the oncology ward and we would be telling jokes and funny stories. And because, often in places like that, people are scared, right? But we want to bring in those higher frequencies of energy. We want to remind people what love really is, because love is the ultimate healer. And when you're you pass away, you just return to love. You return home to heaven, to where you came from. So, I know my dad is in heaven without a shadow of a doubt. That's totally where he belongs in terms of being reunited to people that he loves and spending time with them and being supported and in their energy and, allowing himself to integrate into that. I believe in reincarnation, so maybe we'll see him on the earth plane again before I pass over. Who knows? But he was a wonderful man. He was a really wonderful man, and I'm really grateful for all the gifts that he's taught me, especially, of course, my faith in the universe and to be an explorer. My dad had a lot of courage. He, we moved to a family property when I was 6, going on 7 years old. We're fifth generation. Well, I'm a fifth generation New Zealander, so we've actually lived in New Zealand for a long time. So, we are embodied in the energy of this country, and my dad was a wonderful contribution to it. He restored a property, he had to get it rewired, replumbed, redecorated, and it was a big property. He spent 3 months painting it at one point in time. He had a lot of courage, because he had a vision and he had a dream, and he's imparted those gifts onto me, that if you have a vision and a dream, that you should pursue it and to have the courage to go for it. Because if you don't, that you're never going to really feel fulfilled. I think we all have burning desire within us to be able to create. And if we all stepped into our full potential, just imagine what that would do to the frequency on the earth plane. If you chose to step into your full potential today in regards to what you wanted to create for your life, you can be guaranteed that the energetic frequency of the planet would just shift into something massively amazing and abundant. And that's really what's required of us now, with COVID, with Black Lives Matter, with the Me Too movement, with the hideous child sex trafficking that is happening out there. We all really need to wake up and to really step into our full potential to solve these problems, to find the solution, to be aware, to be people who are using higher states of frequency, altered states of mind to be able to find the solution, because the solution is always going to be found beyond the ego. Ego causes division, it causes world wars, it causes greed, it causes feelings of lack and separation. We need to transcend our egos and start accessing our infinite self, our super consciousness, to be able to live with heaven on earth, to find the solution to war, to find the solution. And the only way we can really do that is by looking at ourselves. If you want to change the world, the best thing you can do is change yourself. And are you living in the highest frequency available to you? Are you accessing pure source energy on a daily basis in terms of living your life? Are you following your intuitive guidance? Now, for all the light workers out there who are already doing that, are you turning it up on a consistent basis? I work with a lot of light workers, right? I work with a lot of people who are conscious facilitators. They're helping other people to step into higher frequencies. But it's our job as conscious leaders to continue to evolve and to step up and to step out, to be the light that other people need so we can change the planet. And now more than ever, you can't get much more out there, right, in terms of the universe saying to us, it is time to wake up, right? And if you are awake, then it's time to take more action, right? It's time to expand. It's time to really be in that space of guiding other people back to the truth. The truth is, you're way more powerful than you give yourself credit for. The truth is, your soul is always bringing you information about your purpose. If you choose to stop and listen, we have to learn what it is to communicate with energy, frequency, and vibration, because that's the way that the universe communicates. There's a huge amount of information available in silence. So if you're feeling called to step into that next evolution, please do come and join us in the tribe. It's a free community. It's really about helping people to evolve, to step into their higher vibration, to be the person that you wish to become, to be the person that you know is possible. And the thing is, when I'm saying this, you can feel that I'm talking to your soul. I am not talking to your rational mind. I'm not even talking to your body. Your soul knows this stuff. Your soul is the part of you that's like, yeah, I've been giving this information to him or her for ages, right? They know this already. So you know that I'm communicating with that part of you that already knows what it is that you really desire, and it wants to help you to bring it forth. What we've got to do is we've got to shine a light on the dark. We've got to transcend our own ego. We've got to rise above our own limitations. We've got to be willing to know the truth, and the truth can be confronting, right? The truth is powerful energy, but the truth always sets you free. And the truth is, my dad's still with me. The truth is, I still love him to bits. The truth is, I probably feel his love more and more and more every day. And the truth is, I know that his intention for me would be to be happy. So I'm very grateful for this work. I'm very grateful for you guys as an audience. I'm grateful to be able to come on and hopefully share information that you find beneficial and that helps you to heal, helps you to shift your vibration, helps you to move into the next evolution of you, and really at the end of the day, helps you to experience peace and happiness, because goodness knows it's your birthright. I know sometimes it can feel like a battle to be able to create it or achieve it, but give yourself a pat on the back for everything that's happened so far. It has all been part of a greater purpose. But yeah, allow yourself to expand. Even if you ask yourself, what does it feel like to run the energy of truth through my body? How expanded is my energy field right now? Am I living a rich, full life? It's really time to start asking those questions and reaching for more. All right, folks, as usual, it's a blessing and a privilege to connect with you guys. I love being here on the Find Your Bliss radio show. It's a pleasure to communicate with you, to share love frequency, and to let you know that the universe inherently loves you. You are not separate from love. You are love frequency in a body. Your job's just to let go of any illusion that's held in place that tells you otherwise. I'm sending you so much love and light. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Bye for now. Bye.